Hey, this is Abigail, your host of Nothing Left Unsaid. Today I'm here with Attorney General Kris Mayes, and we're very excited to get into the episode. Kris Mayes grew up in Prescott and built her career as a journalist, a lawyer, and a regulator on the Arizona Corporation Commission. Now she serves as Arizona's top legal officer as the Attorney General, where she's taking on everyone from Donald Trump's fake electors to Amazon. Thanks so much for being here, AG.
Thanks for having me.
So you stepped into this office during one of the most chaotic periods in Arizona history. What did you not expect about this job?
Donald Trump, in two words, I guess. I guess that's the obvious thing that we didn't know was going to happen when I took office in 2023, is that we would end up with the most unlawful, illegal, unconstitutional president in the history of America, and that we'd end up having to file now, as of this taping, 31 lawsuits against him and against the lawlessness coming out of Washington, D.C. right now. But beyond that, this is just an amazing job, and it is the breadth and the depth of the issues that you deal with as Attorney General is so extraordinary. And I think I had a sense of that coming in, but you can, on any given day be dealing with, 15 different topics, and you've got to be able to move quickly between those topics and know something about each one of them. So in that way, intellectually, it's just incredibly stimulating. It's also challenging.
Lots of multitasking.
Yes, exactly. But it's great.
You've definitely had a very busy year, I can imagine.
Yeah, it has been, that's for sure.
Before we dive into some of those cases and fights, tell us a little bit about who is Kris Mayes when she takes off the title and steps back into real life.
Oh, I'm a mom, first and foremost. Before I, start my day and when I end my day, I'm a mom, and to a wonderful 12-and-a-half-year-old and who is in middle school now. So the best part of my day is when we go to school together, and so I'm just really lucky that I was able to have her and become a mom. And I'm the first mom Attorney General in the history of the state, so it's probably taken too long for that to happen.
Absolutely.
I'm the 27th Attorney General, but that's who I am. And then, I'm a sister, and also and take that title seriously as well.
I'm also a sister. I have two younger sisters, and I would do anything for them. So
Ditto.
I understand.
Yes, ditto.
So Arizona's democracy has been under attack for years, but from where you sit, what is the single biggest threat to free and fair elections in 2026, and what are you doing about it?
So, look, I mean, the President of the United States has already attempted to, through executive order, seize control over the elections processes of the states. We beat that back. We filed a lawsuit. The Democratic AGs, the 23, now 24 Democratic AGs, fought that back. And so I worry about those types of things. Trump has also, and others around him, have talked about threatening vote by mail, which is insane. As you know, we vote by mail here in Arizona.
And we love it.
And many other states do that as well. So, now with, sometimes, upwards of 90% of us voting by mail, it would be inconceivable for Donald Trump or anybody else to try to put an end to vote by mail, and I will do everything I can as Attorney General to protect it. We have very safe, very effective elections. I also worry about the safety of elections workers.
Totally.
That has been an issue in the past. And I have said time and time again, and I'll say it again, that, any attempt to harm or otherwise threaten and harass an election worker in the state of Arizona will be met with stiff opposition and investigation by my office. So, in 2022, we had something around two-thirds of all of our counties experienced the loss of or resignation, loss of an election worker or election official. So that brain drain is a difficult thing, and we can't have that. So one of my jobs is to make sure that elections workers and officials feel safe in doing their jobs.
That makes total sense. You're prosecuting people who try to overturn an election. How do you stay focused when the people attacking democracy are the same people controlling the legislature and the laws?
Yeah. Well, what I would say is that I think, we sort of look at these things in separate lanes. Obviously, we have the fake electors prosecution, and we are pursuing that, continuing to pursue that, because as I've said before, nothing is more important than making sure that that folks don't think that they can take it upon themselves to undermine an election and the vote. If people have a right to vote and to have their votes counted. So that's an important investigation and prosecution that we are pursuing. The legislature, boy, that's a separate matter. I certainly hope that come 2026, Arizonans also think really, really carefully about who they vote for and vote for candidates who support our democracy, support, who know how hard it is for people to live in this state in terms of their rent, the overall cost of living, electricity costs, and the ability to buy a home here in the state. These are all issues that the Republicans in the legislature right now don't seem to care about. In fact, it's just the opposite of that. Mm-hmm. And so there are a number of really important races on the ballot this year. Obviously, I think mine is one of them.
Of course.
But the governorship is another. But man, the Corporation Commission, if folks care about their utility bills, and I know they do, mm-hmm. I'm intervening in front of the Corporation Commission to try to stop the APS rate increase. We're also trying to stop the Tucson Electric Power Company rate increase because rates have increased. Those utilities have increased rates enormously over the last 5 years, allowed by an all-Republican Corporation Commission.
Yep. That
race is on the ballot too, and these legislative races.
Yeah, totally. On top of rising prices everywhere, the last thing we need is our utilities going up 14%.
That's right. It's a huge part of people's budgets.
It is.
And
especially here in Arizona, we need air conditioning.
We need air conditioning, and it's becoming increasingly dangerous as people, have to choose between air conditioning, paying for the lights and the air conditioning to stay on, their prescriptions, their rent, mm-hmm. Food, the price of food going up with Donald Trump's illegal tariffs, which we are also fighting back against, in fact, most recently at the United States Supreme Court.
Arizona is still living with the fallout of the near total abortion ban. What role does your office play in protecting Arizonans' legal right to access abortion?
So we were really heavily involved in and continue to be in the effort to protect abortion access in Arizona. When I took office, we obviously were at one of the states with a trigger law or a zombie law, whatever you want to call it, in 1864. Abortion ban, total ban on abortion that was passed when Arizona wasn't a state, women didn't have the right to vote, and the Civil War was still raging, right? So obviously it was
antiquated.
Something that was massively unpopular among Arizonans, massively unpopular. And frankly, the Dobbs decision is one of the reasons that I won my election by 280 votes. And Arizonans wanted an attorney general who was going to fight to uphold abortion access and abortion rights. And so when we took office, we started to make moves in the courts to try to, frankly, delay the implementation of that and prevent the implementation of it until the voters had the chance to have their say. They ultimately did by passing a ballot initiative that ensconced abortion rights in our Constitution. And then another thing that we've done is we have protected in the federal, through intervention in a federal court case, access to mifepristone, Miffy, which is the safest form of abortion. Of course, again, Republicans want to eliminate women's access to Miffy. That's also insane, also incredibly unpopular, also incredibly unsafe for women in this country. And because I was elected Attorney General, we were able to get Arizona into that case in the Western District of Washington State, and then protected access to Miffy here. If not, we wouldn't have access to it. It's pretty clear. You have a Democratic AG who believes in women's access to abortion rights, believes in the Constitution, believes in following the rule of law, and if you don't, you're not going to get any of those things.
There you go. So you've taken on Amazon for 2 major deceptive schemes. How do these cases show everyday Arizonans how corporate power actually hits their wallets?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I ran to be a lawyer for the people of Arizona, and a big part of that is fighting back against corporate power and corporate overreach. And these Amazon cases center around the several tactics that Amazon has used to that essentially violate, we contend, Arizona's Consumer Fraud Act, including the buy box provision, and then also the provision that they engaged in called dark practices, which is making it really, really hard to unsubscribe from Amazon. And so
you have to go through like a whole obstacle course to do it.
The obstacle, that's a really good summation of it. It's sort of like an obstacle course, pages and pages and redirections, and that's just deceptive, and it makes it hard for you as a consumer to
if you're a procrastinator, like, that's not happening.
Yeah, I mean, these companies know this, right? They know that people will give up, that a certain percentage of people will give up, and then you end up with a subscription that you didn't want. Mm-hmm. And so, we're pursuing that case. There's the RealPage case as well. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that.
Yes, that is my next question, actually.
and I was one of the first AGs across the country to bring this case against RealPage. This is the company that was colluding with 9 major landlords in Arizona, we allege, mm-hmm. in our lawsuit, to artificially, behind closed doors, jack up the price of rent using an algorithm that these 9 landlords, which, by the way, control 75% of the entire apartment market in Phoenix and more than 50% in Tucson.
Which is wild.
It's wild. And that the landlords were using this software, and it would spit out a price for all of the landlords to use. And they all agreed to collude with one another to set the price at this particular high rate. And the landlords gave RealPage, which was the company with the software, all kinds of proprietary data that you would never give to your competitor. So say you were a landlord in the olden days, as I say, and you were actually competing against the landlord next door, and you wanted to try to attract customers, attract renters by what? Maybe lowering the price below what the neighboring landlord would set, so you might attract people. That's how a free market actually works, mm-hmm. right? Well, not in this day and age with this algorithmic pricing that we are seeing. And RealPage succeeded in jacking up the rent. I call it old-fashioned price fixing using new technology. But it's illegal. I mean, under our state's antitrust laws and the Arizona Consumer Fraud Act. So we were one of the first state AGs to sue RealPage, and we are going to try to get money back for people who saw their rents go up, and we're trying to end that practice forever in the state of Arizona. You know, rent increased in Phoenix between 2016 and 2020, I think 2023, 2024, by 76%.
Insane.
It's insane. And sort of people, I think, were thinking, wait a second, what's going on here? What's happening? Not knowing that all of this stuff was going on in the background.
An actual literal conspiracy.
A literal conspiracy against the renters of the state of Arizona.
Totally. I always wonder because, you know, like I think about all the individual people who are affected by conspiracies like that, but then, you know, the person, or not really even the person responsible, I suppose that's my point, is it's, you know, these vague companies, and I always just wonder, like, who are the actual people behind making these decisions that are exploiting and hurting families, and and what consequences do they face? Because we certainly are facing the consequences.
Yeah, you need an attorney general who's willing to go after these big cases, and who's interested in fighting back against the corporate consolidation that we have going on in this country that is hurting way too many people. So you and I have just talked about the Amazon case, the RealPage case. We could talk about the Kroger-Albertsons merger that we fought against and defeated as well. That was a case where, you know, two giant grocery store companies, Albertsons and Kroger, wanted to merge into one, you know, mega giant entity that we believed would have harmed Arizona consumers, would have caused grocery prices to skyrocket in Arizona, would have led to the layoffs of thousands of people. These are, two of the 7 largest employers in the state of Arizona. And I took one look at it. We took one look at it and said, hey, this thing is not good for our state. And it, again, violated, we thought, state antitrust law.
Totally. Yeah, I grew up in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and down there, I mean, we have only a handful of grocery stores. If the Safeway and the Fry's had merged, I think it's that or Food City, not really leaving a ton of options.
And
for
I
people.
mean, you know, exactly. And I grew up in Prescott, as you mentioned at the top, and I was, you know, same situation. Fry's, Safeway. If that merger had gone through, you know, you could easily see one of those options disappearing. There are some parts of the state where then all options would disappear, and you'd have enormous food deserts.
Yep.
Yeah, we already have a problem with food deserts in Arizona, and this would have made it, which would have exacerbated that problem. And so we fought back. We joined with the FTC. It was under the Biden administration when we joined with the FTC in fighting that, and we defeated it. So.
Yeah, that was definitely great news for Arizonans. Yeah, on the food deserts, I have a good friend who, her and her husband just bought a house, actually, which is really exciting for them. But the closest place to get any type of groceries to them is in 15 minutes, and it's a Dollar General. So huge problem.
See big swaths of Arizona where a Dollar General is the only option, and so this would have made that situation even worse.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you've taken on Fondomonte for draining Arizona's groundwater to grow alfalfa for Saudi livestock. What shocked you most when you first saw the scale of this water crisis?
Oh, boy, yeah. This is, I think, also one of the most important lawsuits that we've brought, and definitely one that a lot of Arizonans across the political spectrum, too, care about and are watching closely. And it's interesting. It is very, very bipartisan, in the support for it is very bipartisan. And as you mentioned, you know, we sued the Saudis, who, when we came into office, were being allowed, and still are being allowed, to withdraw enormous amounts of water from an aquifer in far western Arizona called the Renegris Plain. And so you can sort of imagine it as you're on I-10, just about to cross the California border. with Arizona. It's just to the north, and you'll see fields and fields of green. And it's alfalfa that the Saudis are growing so that they can then harvest it and then send it back to Saudi Arabia from the port of, I think the port of Long Beach, so that they can feed their cows in Saudi Arabia, where they have banned the growth of alfalfa because they ran out of water.
Huh.
So what do they want to do? So under
Arizona, a place with famously excessive amounts of water to spare.
Right. We don't have this water. It's exactly. I often say we cannot afford to do dumb things with water anymore in our state. So, and what most importantly, what they are doing out there is harming their neighbors, which is why we brought a nuisance lawsuit against them. And this is a you know, my critics say, well, you know, nuisance law has never been used in this way. Well, that is true, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't fit the circumstances and the facts of this case. The fact is the Saudis are withdrawing so much water from the ground that it has caused the wells of people surrounding their farms to dry up. It is causing, fissures in the ground. Same thing going on down in southeastern Arizona with a major dairy operation down there, which is causing fissures in the ground and houses to crack open and wells to be dewatered. And that kind of industrial use of our groundwater supplies is absolutely insane in a time of climate change and drought that we are experiencing. And, you know, when you look at what's happening just related to drought, set aside the industrial agriculture that is allowed to occur and that is causing damage to surrounding neighbors. The drought that is really drying up our groundwater supplies is significant. So and dangerous. So those are the kinds of cases we will continue to bring if we have to, and try to bring some sanity into the situation, and also try to protect neighbors. And these are people who have, to your point, you're raised in Sierra Vista. Mm-hmm. I was raised in Prescott. People move to these areas, have sunk their entire life savings in some instances into their homes, mm-hmm. and then only to see the values of their homes, be dramatically altered downward as a result of these, big agricultural operations moving in next door.
Who is responsible for allowing these contracts to go into effect, I guess?
So great question. It kind of depends. Sometimes they are operating on state trust land. Sometimes they are operating on private land. So in the case of the Fondamonte Saudi farm in Renegers Plain, there's a mixture of state trust land leases, but also private land that they're operating on. In the case of Cochise County, I think that's mostly private land.
Gotcha.
Or they've just bought up the land and are either using it for various agricultural purposes.
Gotcha. So across all of these areas, from housing discrimination to opioid accountability, what's one moment where you thought, this is exactly why winning by 280 votes mattered?
Gosh, I think there have been a lot of those moments, actually, especially most recently with the 32 lawsuits against Donald Trump. I'll give you an example. I went grocery shopping with a woman named Gertie. And she was one of the folks, I think she's in her 80s. She is getting help from AmeriCorps volunteers and AmeriCorps employees with her grocery shopping. And she's, I think, losing her eyesight, at least in one eye, needs help from an AmeriCorps volunteer to get to the grocery store. Otherwise, she'd be mostly shut in. She doesn't know what she would do. So I went grocery shopping with her and her AmeriCorps volunteer because we saved AmeriCorps. We sued Donald Trump, who had tried to defund it completely in the state of Arizona. And I'm sorry, I said Gertie. Verdi. Her name is Verdi. And Verdi was going to lose her AmeriCorps volunteer. She did, in fact, for I think a couple of months. And by suing Trump, getting that funding restored, we got Verdi's AmeriCorps volunteer, and her only way of getting to the grocery store on her own or with some help, but getting to the grocery store was restored. So I think as I was helping her shop and realizing, wow, obviously there are real people associated with this funding that we are protecting. Again, $1.5 billion that we have saved through those 32 lawsuits, depending on how you look at them. AmeriCorps, Head Start, Meals on Wheels. We saved Meals on Wheels in Arizona.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's huge. And then I think finally I would say, you know, when I was sitting in the Supreme Court a few weeks ago for the oral arguments on the tariffs, that I am co-leading the tariffs lawsuit, the lawsuit against the tariffs, which were illegally enacted by Donald Trump. These are taxes on Arizonans. They are taxes on consumers. They are devastating our small businesses throughout the state of Arizona. And kind of sitting there listening to the oral arguments, realizing the skepticism coming off of the bench toward the government's position, Donald Trump's position, and thinking, wow, I think we might win this thing. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
But we could. I mean, I don't want to predict it, but there was a lot of skepticism coming from people like Amy Coney Barrett, Neil Gorsuch, John Roberts.
It's encouraging to hear.
Yeah, in addition to the liberal justices,
to know they won't just rubber stamp everything.
I'm really, really hoping. And so I think that if and when we win that case, that will have such an enormous impact and reverberation throughout our economy in a positive way. And just also send a message that if you're the president of the United States, no matter who you are, you can't just violate the Constitution. You can't just violate laws. You can't go use IEPA for an illegal purpose and set whatever tariff you want. I mean, it was interesting to listen to some of the justices ask the Trump's lawyers questions, and some of them were sort of future focused, which I thought was really interesting. And they were like, well, if Donald Trump can use tariffs this way, could a Democratic president in the future use tariffs against countries based on his or her climate change agenda? Why couldn't that happen? Yeah. So, it was just interesting to watch sort of the wheels turning in their head going, maybe this isn't the best idea to allow this sort of willy-nilly approach to setting tariffs.
Yeah, it's almost like the checking of the powers can go both ways.
Yes, it can. Yeah, and the shoe can be on the other foot,
Definitely. Well, just to close us out, I have a few just kind of rapid-fire fun questions for you.
All right, I'll do my best.
First one is Sonoran hot dog or chimichanga?
Sonoran hot dog.
Sunrise in the Superstitions or sunset at Sedona?
Sunset at Sedona.
What's your top Arizona road trip stop?
My top Arizona road
Maybe
trip.
Maybe like a more popular one.
Oh, a less popular one. I'm gonna say two. Can I say two?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I love the town of St. John's.
Okay.
Which is in northeastern Arizona in Apache County. If you haven't been to St. John's, go to St. John's.
I have not been
Don't just stop in the White Mountains. Keep going all the way to St. John's. Wonderful little community. It's got a couple of awesome Airbnbs and a couple nearby hotels. go hang out in St. John's, Arizona. And then I would say take the back road from Prescott over to Jerome. Okay. If you can stomach it,
that
little
road
windy,
is a little scary.
A little windy. My dad was a pharmacist at the Yavapai Regional Medical Center his entire career, and he would have to sometimes take that road to Jerome to deliver drugs to the town.
In the snow and ice, maybe?
Sometimes in the snow and the ice in the middle of the night, and my mom would be very worried. She would try not to let us see that she was worried. But then we would also go to Jerome as kids to kind of hang out.
Know.
Yeah, during the day. But yeah, take the trip from Prescott to Jerome if you can stomach it.
That was actually going to be one of my questions, was Jerome or Bisbee, but I guess you may have
I'm going to say Jerome. I'm going to say Jerome.
I would say Bisbee, but I think we both have our
biases.
Exactly,
based on where we grew up.
Yes.
Yeah.
What song should play when you walk into a press conference? What would be your walk-in song?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Let's see. Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah.
Classic.
I mean, I'm an 80s girl, so.
Would you rather be stuck driving through a haboob or stuck in a budget hearing at the Arizona legislature?
Oh, driving through a haboob any day of
10 out of
10.
Any
day of the week. Yeah.
What's the funniest thing someone has assumed that the Attorney General does?
Oh, funniest thing.
I bet you hear some interesting.
I do. Things. I do. I mean, occasionally I've had some folks think that I can deal with parking tickets, and it's like, no, we don't do parking
you still
tickets.
Gotta pay
we
that.
don't, it's not happening. But gosh, what else? But yeah, we do a lot at the AG's office, but not everything. It's important to remember that we have 15 great county attorneys,
totally.
And they do a lot of the work on criminal matters.
What's your favorite thing to do in Prescott?
So my favorite thing in Prescott is to walk on the trail that's named after my dad, Barry Mayes Memorial Trail, which is up in Acker Park. So if you're in Prescott next time, go up to Acker Park and take the Barry Mayes Memorial Trail, and you get a great panoramic view of Prescott and Granite Mountain in the distance.
A beautiful scenic trail named after you.
After my dad.
Well, not after you, but after.
After
that's a
him,
life goal
yes,
right there.
For sure. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. How early do you get to Sky Harbor to take a flight?
Well, I mean, I have a security detail, so they handle a lot of stuff.
They make sure you're on time. I'm
yeah,
sure.
they make sure I'm on time. Normally I would get a couple hours, and lately I've been my daughter's father lives in Miami, and so a couple of times now.
I'm going there tomorrow.
Are you?
Yes.
Well, a couple of times she's flown unaccompanied, so I'll take her early. We have to get there early. And nervously put her on the plane, although she says she's fine. She's very independent, but yeah.
Well, that's probably for the best. I definitely push it a little closer than I should.
Yeah.
I've missed a few flights in my time, but I need to do the pre-check situation so that I can at least get away with it a little better.
There you go.
Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Cat person, 2 cats.
Me too.
Yeah, always been a cat person.
What are your cats' names?
I have one named Peppy and one named Ellie.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
Flip-flops or hiking boots?
Hiking boots, probably. Yeah, but I wear both.
It's Arizona. So,
yes,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What's your current go-to coffee shop in the Phoenix area?
Oh gosh, I go-to. I definitely cannot say Starbucks, right?
No,
That's just
no,
not allowed.
Absolutely not.
Okay. I don't know do I have a go-to coffee shop? I don't.
Copper Star Coffee, they joined our tier space.
Oh, that's right. Like give it a shot. I should give a shot. Copper Star. So there's Copper Star coffee shop, which made an appearance at our press conference to announce the tariffs case.
Okay. Shout out.
Which is over on 7th Avenue
Okay.
in, I think, the Melrose district. And
Yeah, right over there by Valentine, I think.
exactly. Great place. Awesome place to hang out in the mornings. And It is, and they pointed out at our press conference that the price of coffee beans has skyrocketed now, and
Thanks, Trump.
thanks to Donald Trump, and that's a huge problem for anybody who's selling coffee anywhere
Or needs
in
to
this country.
get shit done throughout the day.
Yes, also for consumers, true. Yeah,
Yes.
so hoping that all independent coffee shops in Arizona can hang on, hopefully until we can win this tariffs lawsuit.
Absolutely. Okay, one last question. Do you have a favorite Arizona Mercury player?
I mean, gosh, used to be Brittany Griner, I guess, but I mean the Mercury are awesome. What a team!
Yeah,
they've had a couple of
great season.
good years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to catch one of their
Well, who's your favorite?
Kalia Copper.
Oh,
Probably. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But I did get to catch one of the, I guess, playoffs games. I don't know what, I'm not a basketball person, so I don't know what
It'll
they
be
call
playoffs. Yeah,
the
playoffs.
The championships. Yeah, I caught
Yeah.
one of those games, and
I
oh my
didn't get-
God, I was like out of my seat yelling. Like, I don't really watch sports like that, but I was really enjoying it. So
Yeah, the WNBA has definitely upped their game, so to speak.
Totally.
And, everybody should go catch a game. I'm kind of an NFL. I'm a football
Okay,
fan.
okay.
So I am one of the many long-suffering Cardinals fans. And we're gonna get there. We have some great players on the Cardinals. We've got. I mean, I love our players. God love Trey McBride. I mean, what a tight end. But we need an offensive line really badly. I take it you're not a football
believe you.
fan, but we need an offense. We need an O line.
I'm just like nodding.
Yeah, we need an O line. So come on, Mike Bidwell, give us an O line immediately, please. Next year,
Straight to camera.
yeah, next year offensive line draft.
We'll make sure he sees this. We'll geo-target some
Thank
ads
you.
around to the stadium or
There you
something.
go. There you go.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, AG. Had a really great time speaking with you,
You
and
too.
appreciate all the work that you're doing for Arizona families and to fight back against Donald Trump and during this crazy year that we've had.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Nothing Left Unsaid. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel and share with your friends.